Hey, let me remind you that if you don't know your people, their problems, your position, and have a plan to promote your solution, you'll waste your time, energy, and money making the wrong decisions in your marketing and designing fluid art classes that few will like or return to, and you will lose money. Hey, today we're going to fix your business. Hey, I'm Casey Corbin. I'm a certified life coach and counselor for 20 years. My heart is to help lead you up the 5-step success path of becoming a highly successful fluid art teacher. And I'm really glad that you're here today, either live or in the replay. So if you are here live, please chat in there and say that you're here. And even if you're watching it in the replay, please make a comment so I know that you are watching. So this is the 5-day challenge. Today is number 3, and let's do a quick review. Over the first day was about people, understanding who your people are, not just their demographic information, but also their psychographic information about who your ideal student is. And your job is knowing and then also choosing that ideal student well. Yesterday was all about problems. What problems do your people have? And then how can you solve them in a journey with your business? Today, we're going to talk about positioning, the third P. What products and services of yours solve these problems, and how do you position yourself? All right. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about planning, and that's where it all comes together. What strategies you implement to consistently attract those ideal students. And then finally, on Saturday at 1 p.m. as well, we will also find how do you find these potential students and turn them into buyers. All right. So if someone could comment that you can hear me and we're good, I'm going to check it on my phone. All right, so Victoria says hi, and Diane is saying hi. I'm able to look on my phone here real briefly, only in the beginning of the call. And Kathy, and Victoria, thank you for the compliment on the pictures of my background. I do that for a couple of reasons. One is that, I really do fluid art. And then two is that I can look at the caption or the thumbnail and tell exactly what day it is from there, because I change it out every day. So if somebody could just say, hey, I can hear you, I'd appreciate that. There's a delay between when I'm broadcasting and when you're hearing it. So, all right, so we're going to dive in. The third P, positioning. Now, this is about making sure that you are properly positioned to solve your ideal students' problems through your classes, your programs, your other offerings, so that you make the money that you deserve and you also make a difference in the world. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see in our teachers community is when our class leaders create a class, a program or product or a service based on what they're in the mood to share or teach, rather than focusing on their ideal students' top concerns and creating solutions around those issues and addressing them in your students' words. So you might be saying, hold on, Casey, I just really do fun fluid art classes. I really don't know about all this fancy spancy hidden deeper needs of my student stuff. Well, sure you do. Remember in part 1 where we talked about secondary motivators, or these secondary gains that our clients come to us, our students come to us for reasons other than just learning how to pour paint. They also want to maybe get out, connect with other people, share, have fun experiences, and then do so enrich their lives in some specific ways. Now, when you consciously are aware of these secondary motivators through your positioning via what you say in your marketing, then they appreciate you more and they return for more of that. Now, you cannot be an effective marketer if you don't know your ideal students' top concerns. And so that's why we're going to focus on knowing your students' top 5 concerns and speaking that in your marketing in a language that resonates with them. So, just as I was preparing this class, this training for you, ironically, a very courageous teacher posted on our teachers group looking for some advice. And what she posted was an absolute perfect example of the point that I want to make about focusing on your offerings, about from the perspective of your students' needs, rather than what we want to create as the leader of the class. And so this is what she posted. Why am I having such a hard time getting customers for classes? I have flyers up at Hobby Lobby where I teach in 2 towns, and I have a store where they can easily pay through. I know that there are many bars in my area doing fluid art classes, so I'm thinking this is why. But I see so many of you talk about full classes and even waiting lists. Tomorrow I have one person, bummer. I even did advertising for family Christmas classes and yet no go yet. Okay, so I went to her site and I saw her marketing messaging there, and she talked about her class size. She talked about the canvas size. She talked about how it's 2 hours. She talked about how people need to wear clothes that they don't mind getting paint on. And so here's my issue with this. I have no idea who this class is really for, what I'm going to get out of this class, or how it's going to apply to my life. To be honest, it sounds like a typical cheap craft class, and there's really no value here because the class is not about me. The student, as the student, she's not addressing my issues and my concerns. And so my answer would be no, I do not want to attend that class. There's no reason for me to do so. And here's the key. If you want your classes and services to sell, you need to stop thinking about you and start thinking about the person you most want to serve and help. And really, isn't that what this is all about? How we serve and help other people? We aren't really serving anyone if we're only thinking about creating a fun class that we want to go to at a place that we want to do it at, and selling a workshop that covers the material that's interesting to us. That may not be necessarily relevant to what our students need. Now, I know all this sounds perfectly logical. And you might be nodding your head like, yes, I'm doing that. Well, here's the litmus test. Go back and look at hopefully you've written events in your business page that is a specific business page for your fluid art teaching. Go back to your past events and read the sales copy that you have there. And then, and I gotta tell you, I've done this exercise and I was embarrassed to see that I was using really the wrong language. I've learned a lot over the years. And so start shifting to think your thinking as you're writing your sales copy to your student, and then wording that you be careful, because if you don't do this, the wording that you use will often fall flat and you end up trying to market to a class that really doesn't resonate with your audience. So to help you remember, my daughter said I look all gangster with this, but remember the initials, WIFM. I bet you've been taught this at some point in your life too. For me, it was 30 years ago in sales training. WIFM, W-I-I-F-M. What's in it for me? What the idea here is to try to see these initials imagine them across the forehead of your ideal client avatar, and always be thinking that that's the question that they're asking you whenever you're doing your sales copy, whenever you're writing up your website, whenever you're posting on your Facebook page and your Facebook groups. What's in it for me? It reminds me to not think about what I want and try to solve my problems, but instead, I want to think about their needs, their wants, their desires, and solutions to their problems, not mine. And so I really want to help bring this issue to light because I think it'll make a huge difference in how you do your classes as well. So I think this example might help. When I first created the fundamentals of fluid art, both the live classes and online course, I explored all the issues that our students had, and then I built my program around addressing and solving each one of those issues. I created a long list of concerns and problems that my tribe was struggling with, but to sell my program, I also had to educate my students on what the issues that they didn't even know that they had yet, issues that I knew, but they weren't really aware of yet. For example, they were coming to my classes for a lot of reasons. Some of them might have been that they just need a creative outlet, that art is therapy. Desire for freedom and to explore creativity. Is any of this resonating with you? Understanding and accepting the class environment in the classroom that is understanding and accepting. What kind of atmosphere are you creating in your class? And then laughter to be set at ease. All right, so go ahead and put into the comments now, whether you're attending live or in replay. Those are just a handful of things that came to my mind. What are some things that come to your mind as far as what are the things that's going to resonate with your students? What do they really enjoy in your previous classes? Or if you haven't taught yet, imagine what are they really looking for other than just learning fluid art? And then 2 years ago, I started thinking about you. Yes, you, the student, the teachers of fluid art. What are your problems? And what are your solutions? What do you need? And yes, you are all different, but there in the whole pile of needs, there are some common experiences too. And I want you to listen now. And excuse me, some of you listening now have a really great strength in being able to structure your classes. That's just something that's so easy for you, not so much for other people. But maybe if it's easy for you to structure your classes, you're not so comfortable with sales and marketing. And so the first thing that I provided in our membership program was lesson learning plans and then tons of options for different marketing. Others of you are very charismatic and you draw people to you, and you don't really need to work very hard on having your classes full, but you're frustrated with the business structures and the accounting and legal concerns such as MOUs. Some teachers go from financial feast to famine and need solutions for making their income more steady. Some have been doing this for a while, and some of you haven't even started yet. And so your students might come in with similar issues. They might have similar problems that are different, but they can be addressed and represented differently. But in the totality of what we have to offer and what you offer in your classes, you can provide many different solutions, but there usually is a common thread. One thing that I'm really enjoying is the homework assignment from day one, and you can see as you read there, so many people have described a very similar ideal student avatar. Read those, you'll kind of crack up. There's some commonalities in there, but then there's also some differences in each one of them, and those are the things that we need to be paying attention to. The process of communicating how your class or program will address your students' needs is called positioning. And we're asking ourselves, all the time in my business, are our programs and services and our classes all positioned perfectly to address our students' concerns? You always want to create offers that are at the intersection of what you want to teach and also what your ideal student wants to learn. That's important. Otherwise, you lose your passion. So that your students will happily purchase your solutions. Truly, this is probably the most important question that you can ask yourself in your business, because without sales, you have no business. Now, positioning has two stages to it. The first one is more obvious one. You must speak to your students' needs and desires, yet we all assume that our student understands all of their needs and desires and issues. But you'd be surprised how often your potential students don't fully understand what's ailing them. So the second part of positioning is also educating your ideal student on the problem so that they can see that you actually understand them perfectly and that you're qualified to help solve them. This is important because the process of educating your consumer creates credibility and trust with you, which in turn generates more sales. Plus, it feels a lot less salesy. So I'm going back to the example that I mentioned a minute ago. In our webinars, one of the subjects that we talk about is legal contracts such as MOUs, as it pertains to teaching a class. Now, it's a problem and it can be quite serious, but most class leaders have never heard about it, never knew what it was or how it affects them. And so we educate our community, and which they're very grateful for, and this immediately positions us as experts. By sharing this information, we are actually highlighting not only the problems that they know that they have, like filling their classes and pricing their class, but also pointing out other problems that need to be solved that they didn't even know that they had. So we educate them on these subjects, and then we share how easily we can solve these issues, perfectly positioning our services for the sale. Now, you are going to use the same process of positioning whether you are selling a class or any other kind of service in your business. We find that the best way to create and position our class and services is to first journal or maybe artistically vision board everything out. And then that goes onto our promotion calendar. We actually do this process for every program and product and class that we create in our business. And you'd be surprised how many different programs and products and stuff that you can come up with after you have listed your ideal students' problems and issues in their own words. Every problem that they have that you can solve is a potential opportunity for you. Once we write out all of our students' potential issues, we're much clearer on exactly what problems of each one of our services is solving, which in turn then helps us to promote products more effectively because we're using the perfect language to clearly illustrate and to make sense of each one of the benefits that we have to offer. And that always leads to more sales. So give my suggestion a try. I know that you have more sales from positioning your products and services and classes to be able to solve more problems, and you'll be servicing your community in a much more effective way. I tell you what, let me get rid of the hat. And let me share with you today's section. Hopefully you got this the workbook emailed to you, and so let's take a look at it real briefly. We're just going to scan it. Is the homework assignment for day 3 about positioning. There's some questions that you can answer, and really it starts with willingness. You know, are you willing to make some changes in your marketing? There's the WWOOFM that we were talking about just a second ago, and how we can use that to be able to reach our clients. Okay, and so the homework assignment is to name your specific programs in the light of your ideal students' top 5 issues that they have, and then how you can position that. All right. Okay, well, this has been Casey Cole Corbin with Dynamic Fluid Art. I tell you, it's been really great to be with you guys. I will, just so you know, we don't really take much time here in the live, because I told you it'll be around 15 minutes to answer questions or acknowledge people that come on. But we are going to do that. Kathy and I are going to do that in a Q&A very soon. So be looking for that to take place. Thanks for joining me. Please remember to do your homework, and then come back for tomorrow whenever we are going to talk about the plan. So we have an understanding now of your people, their problems, and your position, and now a plan to come together before we promote. So it's an important day tomorrow. I'll see you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Bye.